Hello, I see you. Welcome. Oh, and you see me. Well, welcome to the Energy Sketch. Yes, I'm Michael Johnson. Welcome. Okay, welcome to the whiteboard, folks. Today we're going to talk about the book A Good War by Seth Klein. This book describes how Canada mobilized with urgency around the time of World War II, and how we might do the same thing today in response to the energy transition and the climate crisis. He lays out 4 principles for urgent mobilization. The first principle is spend what it takes to win. And we saw this recently with the wage support programs that were rapidly put in place during the COVID pandemic, specifically to support workers and their families. And for the energy transition, we need the same thing. We need massive public funding mechanisms to ensure a just, equitable, and affordable energy transition. The second principle is to create new institutions to get the job done. And here in wartime, lawyers who were normally quite risk averse were specifically tasked to get things done and make things happen. And we need the same thing today for the energy transition to cut through the excessive bureaucracy that's in the way of scaling up, for example, the massive grid infrastructure that we need to move clean energy around the continent. In wartime, also, 28 new crown corporations were created, specifically to consolidate demand and enable economies of scale for the key components and raw materials that were needed to produce all of the equipment for the war effort, including trucks, airplanes, and ships, as well as firearms, ammunition, uniforms, instruments, etc., etc., etc. So what we need today for the energy transition is to make an inventory of how many heat pumps, solar panels, wind turbines, and critical metals that we need to succeed the energy transition, and then create new institutions and retool our industries to get it done and to produce what we need, all the while ensuring that it's done in a just and equitable way, focused on supporting the workers in transition. The third principle is to shift away from voluntary and incentive-based policies to mandatory measures. And for the energy transition, for example, this means mandating that all new buildings will be built to the strictest energy efficiency codes and have decarbonized heating systems. The fourth principle is to tell the truth about the crisis and the opportunity to create a sense of urgency. And for me, the key here is really around storytelling. And I'll talk more about this in next week's episode, so tune in next week. But the key here is that everyone has a role to play. It's not just a question of all the economics and technology. We need everyone, including artists, musicians, and storytellers, to help paint a picture of the future that will inspire, galvanize, and mobilize people to jump in and support the effort. And I humbly hope that I'm starting to make a small contribution there with this energy sketch. So to summarize, the book is called A Good War by Seth Klein, and the 4 principles for mobilization with urgency are: spend what it takes to win, create new institutions to get the job done, shift from voluntary and incentive-based policies to mandatory measures, and tell the truth about the crisis and the opportunity to create a sense of urgency. And here is our empowering question of the week from the Energy Sketch. How would you rate your government's performance on these 4 metrics? And what will you do to mobilize and galvanize your leaders and those people in your sphere of influence to take action? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. That's it for this week, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Energy Sketch. Don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the bell and all that good stuff so you never miss any of the wonderful episodes coming up. Tune in next week, Monday, 12:12 p.m. Eastern Time, youtube.com/@EnergySketch. Thanks so much for tuning in. Toodaloo!